What's the scariest thing that's ever woken you up during the middle of the night? Story 1. When I went cycling and camping alone in Saguaro National Park, Tucson, Arizona, I was afraid of creatures. I set up camp one night in a gravelly area and was woken up in the middle of the night by footsteps approaching my tent in the gravel. What scared the living crap out of me and kinda, sorry if this makes me sound like a bee, put me off camping alone forever is that it really sounded like something very heavy and bipedal, like a crazy person coming up to murder me, or Sasquatch. It approached my tent with slow, heavy footsteps crunching in the gravel. I didn't hear any other sound, no breathing or rustling of clothing, just crunching gravel. There were just 2 footsteps, not 4. It came right up to the tent, then walked away slowly. I have no idea what it was, and it may have been a mountain lion. They can walk pretty stealthily. But the thought of a human being walking around in the desert at night and slowly approaching me while I slept is what scared me the most, not the thought of an animal or monster. I wanted to call out hello, but was literally paralyzed with fear. I didn't sleep again that night, but came out at sunrise to find 0 evidence and just carried on with my trip without incident. I have not been camping alone since. Story 2. I was drifting off and was already dreaming, but it seemed I was still awake because I was dreaming of myself in bed, in my room, but in my dream I was awake. I dreamt that some person or person swung through the bedroom door and ran toward me and in an instant hit me with all their might with some heavy object. I shook awake. It was a similar feeling when you may startle yourself awake because it seems like you're falling. It took a moment for my brain to tell me I was alone and it was just a dream. It was so strange, exhilarating, and scary. Never had a dream like it since. Oh my God, I once had a dream where I was asleep in bed, rolled over, and the person next to me was not my husband. He was terrifying looking. He reached for me and I screamed and ran for the door. There was another terrifying stranger at our bedroom door who reached for me too. So I screamed again and bolted, and I woke up halfway in the bathroom with my husband going, "Shh, you're okay, you're okay." I think I gave him a heart attack at night. Those half-awake dreams are the worst because your brain is going back into logical conscious mode, but your subconscious is still pumping dream fuel into your brain. So suddenly you are absolutely certain you are awake, but you're wondering why there is a giant box of mac and cheese on the dresser. That could feed dozens of people. How could that much mac and cheese be? Okay, I guess mine isn't quite as startling as the others. Story 3. When I was a kid, we went camping in the woods. I heard what I thought was a bear outside our pop-up camper, and it woke me up. Me and my 2 brothers were sleeping on one side, with me in the middle, and our parents were sleeping on the other side. It was completely dark, so I couldn't see anything, but I could hear what I thought was a bear snorting around outside. I was scared to death. I couldn't figure out a way to climb over my brothers and cross to the other side to wake up my father without making noise and alerting the bear to the tasty meal waiting inside. So I just lied there perfectly still for the whole night, waiting for giant claws to rip their way through the canvas. As the sun came up and I started to see, I noticed that the lump that was my father in a sleeping bag was rising and falling with the bear's snorting. Turns out my dad's snoring had kept me up all night in absolute fear. Story 4. I woke up with chunks of teeth in my mouth and severe abdominal pain, probably swallowed some tooth. Then I looked across the room and there was a pool of blood on the opposite side of the room. After quickly spitting out the rest of the teeth bits, I went to the bathroom and was shocked to see my entire face was bleeding, but from a deep cut in my chin and not from my missing tooth. I realized that I'd sleepwalked, then decided to fall asleep while standing on the other side of the room and did a belly flop straight on the floor, and then somehow after all that got up again and walked back into bed and fell asleep for a few more hours. I had to get a new tooth from a student doctor that I've never gotten fixed. I also ended up supergluing my busted chin together because I couldn't afford stitches. Hey, superglue is a legit strat if you really need to. My friend's dad is a doctor and he would swear by using superglue for bigger cuts. I mean, if you can get better medical attention, please do, folks, but in a pinch, superglue is great. Story 5. Content warning, domestic violence. Scroll forward 37 seconds to skip this story. The worst was when the neighbor boy, 9 years old, came banging on our door and ringing the doorbell at 1 a.m. His mom and stepdad were fighting. Stepdad hit mom and had her on the ground with his hands around her neck, trying to choke her. We've never had to call 911 before that night. This poor little boy had his 2-year-old sister in his arms with a completely dazed look on his face. While my mom was on the phone with 911, I sat the boy down and made sure to tell him that he was incredibly brave, and no matter what anyone tells him, he did the right thing by coming here. Even sadder is they had just moved here from across the country that week and he knew no one. Story 6. I woke up and heard someone walking outside my bedroom window. The window was open and there were leaves on the ground. I got up and put my back against the wall next to the window. I heard a very distinct human walking sound getting closer and closer. I was pooping my pants at this point. They were now very close and I could see out the window, but I could not see them. I was pressed against the wall as the footsteps got closer and closer. The footsteps got quieter as the being got farther away. It took every nerve in my being to look out that window, and nothing. I went outside and looked back there, baseball bat in hand, and saw a very large possum. No scary criminal. Just a friendly possum on neighborhood watch, making sure everything is okay. Don't fret, friend. Just keeping the streets safe. Go back to bed and let possum keep watch. Story 7. Once I woke up because I heard music playing from the kitchen and I thought maybe Mom forgot to turn the radio off. I went through the dark hallway to the kitchen to turn the radio off, but when I was standing in the dark kitchen, there was no music playing. Everything was as quiet as always at 3 a.m. There's an oldish post on Tumblr about someone who kept hearing carnival music in their apartment but could never find the source. Turns out that they were having auditory hallucinations. Story 8. My sister had an all-white clown doll that hung from the ceiling on a little swing. In the summertime, we slept with our doors and windows open to get the cool air in. And I woke up one night hearing some tapping against her window down the hall. If I sat up in bed and looked down the hall, I could see into the front of her bedroom. So I did, and I saw this damn clown swinging back and forth against her window, backlit by the street lamp, but clearly staring directly into my soul like it was all it desired in this world. I didn't sleep well that summer.
Come on, Sarah. Come down the hall and play with me. Play with me all night. Just remember, when you play with Mr. Bubbles, the night lasts forever.
Story 9. I don't know if it counts, but we were in the field in Camp Pendleton, California, and sleeping in just our mummy bags under the stars, and I woke up in the night for whatever reason, and my eyes focused on the guy next over in our circle who had one of the largest spiders I've ever seen in the wild sitting on his forehead, maybe getting warm or something. Freaked me the F out. I flicked it off him and zipped my bag all the way up so there was just the breathing hole and used my boonies cover to plug that and just breathed through the little vents. Story 10. The night I watched the movie The Conjuring. I woke up to my bed shaking and all the clothes hanging in my closet rattling like crazy. Took me quite some time to realize it was an earthquake and not the devil coming visiting. When I was in my final year at high school, I had trouble sleeping at night with my final exams approaching. I think I dozed off for a bit and suddenly woke up to see a person's face staring in through my window grill. I was in such a panic I literally couldn't move or scream. Luckily, he saw me wake up and escaped. Story 12. My parents visited my wife and I, and since we didn't have 2 bedrooms, we let them stay in our bedroom, but we have 2 cats, and they can open the door if it isn't locked by key. We told them to remember to close it. Sometime at night, I hear a scream followed by, "Cat!" I came to find out that my mom went to use the bathroom but forgot to lock the bedroom door afterwards, and my dad was greeted by my cat's face staring at his. Honestly, it was probably scarier for my cat, who was expecting to see me instead. No, we have cats, and they know what they're doing. Sure, he may have acted surprised, but your cat knew what it was doing, and it enjoyed every minute of it. It reveled in scaring your dad, and frankly, that's why cats are great. Story 13. It turned out to be funny. Someone was trying loudly to break into a car just outside my ground floor bedroom window that faced a large parking lot in an apartment complex. He was trying to smash the windows and wasn't strong enough and was yelling a lot. I called the police. I heard every word they said when they showed up. It turns out that he was trying to break into his own car because he was too drunk to find his own keys in his own pocket. Story 14. A shadow person from a sleep paralysis episode. I've had sleep paralysis twice. I never see anything, but I know if I could just move a bit, I would be able to see something standing in the doorway. Worst was the first time my daughter, who was 3 at the time, was in bed with me, and I felt completely paralyzed and unable to protect her. It was horrendous. I don't believe in anything supernatural, but obviously my mind was playing tricks on me at the time. Hey, I'm a skeptic, and I've had a few sleep paralysis episodes too. No visual elements, but auditory and some tactile. It is an awful, terrifying feeling that doesn't make sense. I haven't had an episode in so many years, and I hope it stays that way. Story 15. When I was 18, I broke my leg, and it was non-weight bearing, so I was sleeping on the sofa downstairs. Woke up to a guy climbing in the window directly over my head. I'd obviously left the window open a crack, and he'd seen an opportunity. To be honest, as scared as I was, I'm fairly sure I scared the crap out of him too as he screamed and ran away after I hit him with my crutch. Story 16. The sound of my front door handle jiggling and the door being opened. My dog launched off the bed and slammed into the door while snarling. He's never acted like that. I called him back to me because I knew it was my roommate coming home. Roommate came out of his room and asked what was going on. Apparently, he'd forgotten to lock the front door. Story 17. Boyfriend was out of town and I heard a voice in the middle of the night. My dog woke up and barked too. Heard the voice again, sounded like a British woman. Grabbed the gun and started lurking the house like, what the F? It was my carbon monoxide detector that apparently talks to tell me the battery was low. It scared the crap out of me for a few minutes. So you hear some British lady saying something in what I am assuming is a pretty confident, straightforward voice, and your first thought was, I'm gonna shoot this limey bastard. The revolution was ages ago. You can let it go. Jeesh. Story 18. I heard someone quietly trying my front doorknob late at night. I wasn't quite asleep yet. I checked with my roommate later, and it wasn't them. It happened once or twice more, but I never got to the door quick enough to see who it was through the peephole. Nothing ever came of it, and I live somewhere else now. Story 19. My first tornado. Woke and listened carefully and asked the wife, is that rain or wind? Just then, both of our phones started beeping alerts, and that put us in motion. In hindsight, we reacted about a minute later than we should have. Got lucky and it contacted the ground about a mile past us. Story 20. Tornado siren. In the Midwest, they test them once a month and you get used to it, but holy hell, when it goes off at 3 a.m., your subconscious mind dumps adrenaline into you. I thought I was going to have a heart attack, like literally a 29-year-old about to have my wife call an ambulance. Do they only test tornado sirens on the first Wednesday of the month here in the Midwest? I mean, I guess tornadoes aren't as big of a thing in other parts of the country, but they aren't huge up here in Minnesota either, but we still keep prepared. Interesting. Story 21. My children, I love them more than anything, but they are some sneaky mofos, and they wake you up in ways so gentle that you don't realize it. Then you open your eyes, and they are 3 inches from your face. Like, good morning, it's 4 a.m. Wouldn't change it for the world. Yeah, sounds great. I'm just gonna order extra condoms real quick, then on to the next story. Story 22. My dog barked because cops were banging on the door and window of our Airbnb, flashing their lights into each and every room. Called 911 and she told us not to answer the door because she doesn't see cops in our area. Story 23. My roommate screamed directly into my face at 1 a.m. You best know I instinctively slapped that bastard. I did that once to my friend. He did the same that you did, but only once he realized it was me. Story 24. The extremely realistic feeling of a bare hand grabbing my foot, which made me wake up instantly, only to realize it was somehow a dream. Story 25. I had a large camel spider run over my face at about 3 a.m. That was not a pleasant sensation. Story 26. I had an industrial-sized rat dying from rat poison come through a panel in my closet and up onto bed with me at 2 a.m. Well, nightmares about rats and spiders getting into my bed are what will be keeping me up tonight, so thanks for that, you monsters. Ugh. Story 27. My dog decided to hop onto our piano and start walking along the keys in the middle of the night. Story 28. A poster falling down from the wall. I'm pretty sure my neighbors heard my scream. Story 29. My cat howled at another cat through a screen in the door. Sounded like a demon. Story 30. The shadow of a person next to my bed. My first and last night terror. Oh, I don't know. Stick around this channel long enough. We'll give you more. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.